Today is a good day to talk about leadership. What inspires you to follow someone? What makes a good leader? Good morning, I'm Pastor Tully here with my Wednesday morning message. I'm working my way through my top 10 list of scriptures in the Bible about leadership. The full list of the scriptures is in the description of this video below. This is lesson number 2, and we're going to be in the Old Testament book of 1 Kings. There's a parable that I think many of us have heard before. It's a story of two mothers who are fighting over a baby. And both mothers claim that the baby is theirs, and so they take their problem to the king. And the king comes up with a very clever, if not very violent solution. The king says, okay, cut the baby in half. And at this suggestion, they bring out a sword, and the true mother of the baby, of course, is just terrified and says, no, the other woman can have the baby. I would rather see this baby alive than have my half of it. Of course, the king, being very wise, knows that this is the true mother and makes the decision to give the baby to her. Many of you have heard this parable before. That's a scripture in 1 Kings 3 through 16 through 28. And this is often a story about the wisdom of King Solomon, which raises a question: how did Solomon get to be so wise? Well, for that, we have to back up in chapter 3 and go to verses 5 through 12. I'm not going to read the whole scripture for you. The story here goes like this. God appears to Solomon in a dream. Solomon, he's just become king. And so God says to Solomon, I'll give you anything you want. Just ask for it. Solomon, he could ask for power. He could ask for money. He could ask for long life. He could ask for anything. And what Solomon asks for is wisdom. Now, I think this story shows that Solomon already had a little bit of wisdom in this moment because he asked for more wisdom. He knows that if you have all the wisdom in the world, that money and power will come, that you don't need those things. And that if you have money and power, without wisdom, you can lose your money and power. Solomon knows that wisdom and intelligence, it's more valuable than any amount of money. In my opinion, I think wisdom, intelligence, education, I think it's the single most important thing, single most important quality that a leader needs to have. Without it, you can run into a lot of problems. Fools make bad leaders. And there's a lot of scriptures that tell about that. I think there's a difference between wisdom and knowledge and a difference between academic knowledge versus street smarts or common sense. But I think that's a different video. I think that's all for today's lesson on leadership. So basically that's the end. Okay, any nerds still out there, still listening? This part is for you. Our scripture today was from the book of 1 Kings, but this story about God giving Solomon wisdom, that also appears in the book of 1 Chronicles. Most folks, we know the New Testament has 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and that all 4 Gospels basically tell the same story, but from different perspectives with different highlights and different shorter stories within that. Well, Kings and Chronicles is very similar. There's a lot of overlap between the two, and they basically cover the same kind of set of topics and history. They're both really long books of the Bible. They're part of the history section of the Bible in the Old Testament, which includes 12 books, including Joshua, Judges, Ruth, Ezra, just to name a few. And that's 12 out of the 39 books in the Old Testament. These are some of the longest books. It's about 25% of the whole Bible falls into this section, and yet it's also one of the least read sections of the Bible, because I'll admit it is a little bit boring. Interestingly enough, the Jewish version of these same scriptures, so the Hebrew Bible that you would find in a synagogue, they don't separate Kings and Chronicles into 2 books. So they just have one book of Kings and one book of Chronicles. But what they do is they separate those 2 books from each other. In the Christian Bible, it goes 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles. And those come, shortly after the Torah, the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. In the Jewish Bible, First Kings comes at about the same place, but they put Chronicles, again, it's just one book, at the end of their scriptures. So after all the prophets. Christians, we got 39 books in the Old Testament. Jews have 24 books for basically the exact same thing. All right, have a nice day.